Hey, it's Criss Angel, and welcome to Uncensored. I'm here with a very special guest, a friend, a champion, and soon to be the champion again, Mr. Cain Velasquez. How are you?
Good, good.
It's great to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Now, I've come to know you, actually, we met at George Lopez.
Yeah.
We hung out, actually, your fiance. We went out a couple of times to a club. Come to know you as a really nice guy, a real passionate guy, and how did this all start for you, man? This is like an incredible story.
Yeah. I wrestled in junior high, all the way through high school. I always wanted to go to university, so I ended up wrestling for Arizona State University. And about my junior year, at that point, just wrestling wasn't enough for me anymore. You know, I wanted to basically just hit my opponent. You know, it just wasn't enough. So I saw the sport constantly grow. I told my college coach, hey, I want to start fighting, you know, after I'm done wrestling. He said, first of all, get your degree, you know, it was most important, and then I'll get you in touch with the people that can put you in, you know, the position that you want to be in.
Right.
So he told me about a gym in San Jose. Got my degree, put all my stuff in my car, you know, packed up my car, drove out to San Jose, and started training there. And then that was it. You know, I didn't have any idea what I was going to be doing. Just I knew that I wanted to start fighting, and that was it.
Now let me ask you, when you're wrestling in school, how did you do?
Pretty good. You know, in high school, I was a two-time All-American.
Wow.
Two-time state champion. Also, college, I was a couple-time All-American.
So you had the innate ability. It was a natural God-given gift for you.
I was always one of the top guys in the country as far as for wrestling.
And did you do any martial arts at the time, or just wrestling?
Just wrestling. You know, I've always been interested in boxing. You know, my dad bought us boxing gloves when we were little. Taught us a few combinations.
Right,
you know,
right.
And we would always just hit the bag. You know, just we've always liked that part of the sport, boxing.
Now they say that with MMA, really the foundation, the background that you want is wrestling.
I think so. I mean, you know, it can be argued, but guys that have gone through a Division I college know what hard work is. I mean, we push our bodies to the limit every day. We wrestle with injuries, and the season is so long. You know, it starts around September all the way through to the end of March.
Right.
And we have like a wrestling match or a tournament like at least once a week. So we're always competing. We're used to wrestling or competing in front of crowds, and just the whole thing of just
dealing with adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know, all that when you get what you get from a crowd, right?
For sure. You know, all that, and I think the most important thing we get is the work ethic.
Right.
You know, we're able to push our bodies so hard. Our bodies are just dead, but our mind gets so strong just from that, and we just transfer that into MMA.
And how did you make the transition now? So you're in the gym, right? You're starting to train. You don't know exactly where you're going to take all of this knowledge and how you're going to use it, but how did you make that transition and say UFC?
At first, it was just learning the basics. You know, I didn't know anything. I knew how to wrestle, and that was it. So learning the basics of everything, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. And then after that, you know, a couple months went on by. I just kind of grew as a fighter, got a couple fights here and there. I knew at one point I wanted to go to the UFC. You know, it's the biggest organization in the world.
Now, what year did you actually join the UFC?
I think in 2008, but my first fight was in 2009.
Okay.
So, you know, we wanted to get a couple more fights because we only had 2 fights under our belt, you know, at the time. And we wanted to get local fights in San Jose to kind of get more ring time before we actually went to the UFC. Things would happen where we got the fight set up and guys would just back out of the fight. You know, they would kind of, I guess, Google me and then back out of the fight. So we had a lot of fights that did not happen because of that.
So did they kind of court you, or did you go to the UFC? Because I know a lot of guys that are watching right now, you know, are in that situation. They want to get to the UFC. So how do you get there? Is it like you're contacting the UFC's contacting you because they're hearing of the buzz that you're creating? People are backing out. They don't want to fight you.
The thing that, you know, my coaches got a lot of pull because they have a lot of previous guys in the UFC already.
Okay.
So the one thing that, you know, they kept telling them is, hey, I have this really good guy. He wants to fight in the UFC. He has a collegiate background in wrestling. the thing that the UFC, I guess, said was, okay, he's so good, put him against Andre Arlovski, which just lost his title, you know. So putting me in the position to be in a really high level fight at an
Right
early
away.
age, I mean, it's not the smartest thing to build a fighter, you know.
How old were you at that time?
I'm at that time I was probably 26.
26.
25
So
or
you're
26,
basically an amateur now jumping into the
Yeah.
professional arena and fighting a guy that's essentially a monster.
Yeah. So, you know, my coach just basically called Dana and said, hey, you know, you guys don't know what you guys have here. Let's do something where we can
Build.
have Cain train in front of you. So, you know, we went to the UFC training center, me and then two other of my teammates. We sparred in front of Dana. We did jiu-jitsu in front of Dana. And right there, he signed me. So, you know, I kind of had 2 or 3 fights where it was kind of a building, you know, process. I mean, you definitely need that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, wrestling in front of crowds, I mean, that kind of does get you ready, but it's a totally different
Magnitude.
thing. Yeah, when you're there.
Televised.
All the media you have to do, it being televised, so many people in the crowds. I mean, compared to wrestling, I mean, it's 3 times as big.
So now you're in the UFC. You win like no one knows who you are in the mass public, and the next thing, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Right? You win like 10 straight fights in a row, just slamming people, just one after the other.
Yeah.
And then you meet Junior.
Yeah. You know, with that fight, a lot of publicity, you know, going in that fight. For me, going after, you know, the long layoff I had after Brock Lesnar, had a shoulder surgery. So for me, it wasn't the best, I guess, timing, but, you know, just me having pride and just knowing what's on the line, I'm not backing out from a fight, you know. And I take nothing away from Junior, you know. He did his job that night. I didn't. And I'm hungry to come back after him.
So, because you're such a success story, and I admire people that have a dream, work their ass off to live the dream, and you're that product. And so, how does it affect you? Because most people react 1 or 2 ways. Either you crawl under a rock, or it makes you stronger, it makes you hungrier,
Yeah.
it refocuses you, because it's much easier to get to the top than to stay on the top.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what happened when you lost? Did you feel like you were prepared, or you didn't feel like you were truly at your best at night?
I didn't feel like I was at my best, you know, physically, mentally, I wasn't. You know what? But in the loss, I think I take it really well. You know, I'm the kind of guy who thinks about what I did wrong. I knew I wasn't really prepared well for it. I knew even in the fight, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I sat back way too long for him, and then, you know, he came out and attacked me.
Right. Because you're very aggressive typically.
Yeah.
You
in my
come out
fights.
and you're on the offensive
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
But this you were a little more cautious, maybe because you didn't have the confidence going in like you normally did.
Yeah, just a lot of things, you know, in that. I mean, it turned out that way, but I think I took it really well. A lot of the people around me, my coaches, kind of fell apart, you know. People kind of pointing fingers at each other, and I kind of had to bring them together and just say, hey,
Right.
like,
The buck
I
stops
lost
there.
I lost
Yeah.
the fight, not you guys. You know, we all trained for it and everything, but I was out there, I lost it, and we knew what we did beforehand, before the fight. We knew what happened as far as, you know, injuries and everything else. You know, we just got to suck it up, and that's it. You know, we got to just rebuild.
Right.
That's all you can do.
When you became the champion, such a rapid rate, you just plowed through everybody, became the champion. Do you think, in kind of a crazy way, that maybe that wasn't the best thing for you at the time? Because maybe when you win something of that magnitude, you kind of become complacent?
I don't think so. I think, you know, with going up, climbing the ladder, winning that fight, I think all that was perfect. I think me being injured and having a really long layoff,
Right.
and, you know, trying to come back, trying to rush it too fast, you know, that's where I messed up, you know.
Right.
You got to be in the sport, and you got to constantly be practicing. You got to be in there, always working on technique. You know, and for me not to do that it was basically almost a whole year where I really wasn't doing it, you know. And I got to keep my body safe, number one. But then you got to always evolve. You got to keep evolving. This sport is evolving so fast.
Was the shot that he caught you? Was it like you didn't see it coming? Was it a surprise?
He was just really fast, in
Yeah.
that moment,
Heavy hands.
Yeah, definitely heavy hands. Everybody knows his hands are
That's
the
his
best,
thing, yeah.
the best, in the UFC. They're heavy. He's has really good technique in boxing.
Right.
So I mean, to be standing with him, I mean, it's kind of dumb on my part, but it's a thing where you learn your lesson, you
Right.
bring it on to your next fight.
So let's talk about the rematch. That I'm so excited to see coming up this year. Without giving your game plan away, but what is it that you're going to do different that you feel confident that, hey, you know what, this is mine again?
Basically, this time what I didn't do last time, I'm gonna fight him. My style of fighting is going forward, attacking, a lot of pressure.
Get him on the ground?
Get him on the ground. I mean, keep him on his feet. To me, it doesn't matter, but I have to attack.
Right.
If he's waiting for the takedown, throw punches. Fake the takedown to get his hands down, and then throw more punches. Or even if the takedown's there, take it. He has really good takedown defense,
Right.
but I really don't think he's fought anybody with my caliber of wrestling. People get in on his legs. They have a one-time finish. I go to a 1, 2, 3. It's a kind of a combination.
I just saw your last fight, and it ended up a bloody mess, and you didn't have a scratch on you. So,
Yeah.
and that guy was a big dude.
Yeah.
And that was quick. Man, I felt like when I was watching that, and unfortunately I can't go there in person because I'm doing my live show, so I'm watching it in between shows on pay-per-view like everybody else, but it just seemed like you came back with a vengeance.
Yeah, definitely, a lot of fire in me right now. I'm hungry, I lost something that I didn't want to lose, so I'm coming after it. Anybody stands in my way is definitely going to pay for it.
How is because you're married, you have a 3-year-old beautiful daughter. How is it fighting? Does it give you more strength, or does it concern them? Do they because sometimes when I do crazy demonstrations, my mom freaks out, and it kind of puts me in a place where I have to be concerned about her, and then kind of escape that to focus on keeping myself safe. So how do you deal with that? Are they? I'm sure they're very supportive, but does it play a part in that whole mental game for you?
For me, it doesn't. People always say, when you have a baby or you have a family, you have new motivation. I feel like I've never really needed any kind of motivation. I love what I do. I love going in to train every day. Just use my body for a living. And to me, that's it. But I think my wife is probably the best out of all the wives that I've seen of fighters. She's just a strong, really, really strong woman, And when I go out there and fight, she's really calm. Is always together. She knows what I have. I bet she gets nervous, for sure. But she's very confident.
So you accomplished that. What's next? Just defend it, and what are some of your goals? Like, what do you? This is like such an incredible story that you came being kind of unknown, California, bam, 10 fights, the champion, loses one fight, comes back, gets the championship again. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
Just keep doing it, For me, it's a thing where I want to keep doing it until either my body can't do it anymore, or maybe I've lost a step or something. That's it, just like any other professional athlete. They do it until they really don't really have it anymore. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Now, I told people I was going to be interviewing you on my Twitter.
Okay.
And a lot of the questions that I got were, the basic questions, like, have you ever gotten into a fight at a bar? Like, just out, like, or do people challenge you because you are Cain Velasquez?
You know what? As far as people challenging me, I've never had that. I think I'm a person that people can talk to if I'm out. If I'm out somewhere, I don't just shoo them off. I don't think I'm better than them. If people have something to say, I'm there to listen.
You ever get that like drunk guy that's just like, I don't think he's so tough.
Yeah,
you never get that.
I know I never got
other guys, and they tell me they just avoid going out because they get people like. Even Randy Couture told me a funny story one time. I was like, really?
Yeah. You know what? I've never gotten that. I think I'm. You know,
Lucky.
I've heard a lot. Yeah, I definitely think I am lucky for that. But you know, while I was still in training and I wasn't really making the money that I was, you know, that I'm doing now.
Right.
I was kind of working at a bar, and you know what? I've never really put my hand on anybody and to throw them out or anything like that.
Right.
You know, I just think.
Talk to them.
Yes, talk to them.
Right.
One time there was like, the whole bar was a mess. I mean, everybody started fighting.
Right.
One guy came after me. He tried to shoot it like a double leg on me, and I just pushed him down, and I could hear bottles breaking and everything around me. I'm like, I don't want to get cut.
I'm
so
outta here.
I was just looking around. I was just like, just stay down, and
Yeah.
just kind of held him there, just to look around. But I
Right.
mean, that was probably the most of it, you know.
How about inspiring, you know, kids that are interested in mixed martial arts? What do you, what's your advice to them?
You know, if kids want to do MMA, I mean, they have to find a gym somewhere, you know, close to them. I mean, you gotta have a strong base in jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, and wrestling. You know, so to find that, you gotta go to a gym. If you want to do, you know, go to MMA, and I mean, it's not gonna hurt if you go straight to wrestling.
Right.
You know, for so many years and then do this. But I think, you know, I think right now, I mean, for me, one of my biggest accomplishments is going to college and
For the mental.
graduating. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that to me
You
was,
can't fight forever.
exactly, and that to me was the toughest thing.
Right.
You know, the sports and everything else came easy, but the schoolwork was definitely the hardest.
Who do you admire? Who do you admire in mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts, I like everybody, you know. I don't really have
anybody that you don't
an
like?
admirer. No, there's nobody that I don't like. I don't have anybody that I really admire. I guess Fedor, you know, I've always kind of, just when he was, you know, at the top and even now, just seeing that he's an undersized heavyweight and was always really powerful, had good jiu-jitsu, and was always at the top.
And what do you think about like UFC? It's like blown up just insanely. It's bigger than boxing. I mean, Dana's a friend of mine, and we talked about this years ago, and it's just transformed into, you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it has. It's definitely, you know, just kind of boomed everywhere.
You were just at the expo.
Yeah, just at the expo.
You said you couldn't even go. You can't even go downstairs.
I walked in last night to check in my room. It was probably around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and I could not even walk to my room. Yeah, it was just it's crazy. A lot of fans there. But when I first started, you know, telling my parents, hey, I want to start, you know, doing this. My parents like, hi, you're gonna be boxing, kickboxing? No. Well, it's kind of like that, you know, but it has wrestling and.
So were they supportive, or they were a little nervous in the beginning?
You know what? The only people that were supportive of me was my teammates in wrestling. So you know, my parents, of course, I knew they weren't gonna want me to do that. Friends, family, nobody really supported me in this. You know, they said, hey, you have your degree, why don't you go into being a teacher or something like that. And you know, now they're definitely, you know, behind me, 100%.
Are you, because when I talk to you, you're very kind of, you're somewhat introverted. You know, are you like that? Like when you get pissed off, do you just kind of deal with it in a way where you're not explosive?
Yeah. Definitely old school. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm a man. Something's bothering me, just keep it inside and bury it. You know, I know people say it's not the healthiest thing, but it's like. I just have that mentality. Yeah, I'm a man, and you know, I'm just in that way. I'm kind of like old-minded. You know,
you're a proud Mexican man. Now tell us about the whole heritage, because that was a big thing in the Brock Lesnar. And I know they do it to hype it up and stuff like that. And Brock was saying things about, you know, eating burritos and having a thing, and then obviously you whooped his ass. But tell us about that, because that's really an important part of your life.
Just for me, and you know where my parents came from. You know, my dad came from Mexico, crossed the border a bunch of times, got deported. You know, finally found his life here in the U.S. And for me, I've always been proud of that. I've always been proud of where we came from. Grew up in Yuma, Arizona, which was probably 30 minutes from the town that my dad came from. So on the weekends, we'd always go over there to visit family, to eat. You know, to kind of get familiar with the culture.
Big Mexican family?
Somewhat, yeah. You know, we have family mixed up everywhere.
Mexican family's not big, right?
Yeah, we have
my
family
fiance's
everywhere.
Mexican, they're huge.
So just growing up with it, you know, always being proud of where I came from, you know, being just just that Mexicans are known as being hard workers,
Right.
very passionate, you know, and I just love everything about it.
That's awesome. Well, I think that keeps you centered,
Definitely.
family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Where you
number
come
one, yeah.
from, and this amazing country we call the USA, right? It's given us so many opportunities to
Definitely.
do what we love to do.
Yes.
But listen, it's been amazing to talk with you and to kind of let people see maybe a side of you that they don't get to see when you're fighting.
For sure.
And you're a gentleman, a friend, and I wish you continued success. I know you're going to do great.
Thank you.
I can
Thanks.
predict you're going to win. You're going to win.
I am.
No doubt about it.
Thank you.
I wish you the best. God bless.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching Uncensored. We'll be back next month with another guest. I'm not going to tell you who. You have to come back and see for yourself. Take care. God bless.